No? Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome again to Well in the Wilderness this VE Day. Hope you've had a great day in the sunshine, maybe with a 2 meters apart street party. We certainly had lots of fun in Station Road, and notice the red, white and blue. Oops, you can't even see it, but we have a Union Jack behind us. So, onwards in our reading through the Acts of the Apostles, and tonight we've reached chapter 10. Now, as I watch the news and think, how are we going to get back to normal life? It feels somehow like we're in a maze where you keep not finding the way out. Who knows the way out? Perhaps our question today is, do we really believe God is in charge and knows the way through? Or is it the politicians or the scientists? What happens in this chapter is certainly in a totally different, obviously, different time and space. But there's a good principle here that everything we read in the Bible can teach us something about God, who is almighty, massive, powerful, as we know. And we can never know everything about him, so we can piece it together. In this passage, with its perfect timings, I'm reminded that I need to trust that he is indeed in charge. This chapter 10 is a great story, a true story, lots of action. Don't forget, when the Bible was first written, they didn't have bold type or different font or underlining to say, take note, this is important. But they did stuff like repeating things or saying the same thing a different way. Interestingly, this chapter is pretty much repeated in chapter 11, the next chapter, and is also told in great detail, which helps us to get the message, listen up, this is important. So here we have four main characters. Number one, a high-ranking army officer, that is a Roman centurion, whose name is Cornelius, lovely name. An ex-fisherman called Peter, who's a Jew. An angel, and a load of animals. And the action takes place on the coast of Israel. Lovely place for a holiday. At two places about 30 miles apart, say as far as here to Worcester, two places called Caesarea, which is a Roman city, and Joppa, a fishing port. Over to Nick.
At Caesarea, there was a man named Cornelius, a centurion in what was known as the Italian regiment. He and his family were devout and God-fearing. He gave generously to those in need and prayed to God regularly. One day, at about 3 p.m, he had a vision. He distinctly saw an angel of God who came to him and said, "Cornelius." Cornelius stared at him in fear. "What is it, God?" he asked. The angel answered, "Your prayers and gifts to the poor have come back up as a memorial offering before God. Now, send men to Joppa to bring back a man called Simon, who is called Peter. He is staying with another Simon called Simon the Tanner, whose house is by the sea." When the angel who spoke to him had gone, Cornelius asked 2 of his servants and a devout soldier who was one of his attendants. He told them everything that had happened and sent them to Joppa. About noon the following day, as they were on their journey and approaching the city, Peter went up on the room to pray. He became hungry and wanted something to eat. And while the meal was being prepared, he fell into a trance. He saw heaven opened and something like a large sheet being let down to earth by its 4 corners. It contained all kinds of 4-footed animals, as well as reptiles and birds. These are the sort of animals that Jews have been told never to eat, and Peter was a Jew. Then a voice said to him, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat." "Oh, surely not, Lord," Peter replied. "I've never eaten anything impure or unclean." But the voice spoke to him a second time. "Do not call anything impure that God has made clean." This happened 3 times, and immediately the sheep was taken back to heaven. While Peter was wondering about the meaning of the vision, the men sent by Cornelius found out where Simon's house was and stopped at the gate. They called out, asking if the other Simon, who was also known as Peter, was staying there. While Peter was still thinking about the vision, the Spirit said to him, "Simon, 3 men are looking for you, so get up and go downstairs. Do not hesitate to go with them, for I have sent them." So Peter went down and said to the men, "I'm the one you're looking for. Why have you come?" The men replied, "We have come from Cornelius, the centurion. He is a righteous and God-fearing man who is respected by all the Jewish people. A holy angel told him to ask you to come to his house so that he could hear what you have to say." Then Peter invited the men into the house to be his guests.
End of part 1. So, back in the day when there were no phones or other ways to get a message, you had to send a servant. So there was lots of walking involved. Just pop down the road 30 miles and get this guy Peter and bring him back to me. He's got a message for me. That's basically what happened. So the centurion gets a message from God, via an angel, and obeys it. Peter gets a message from God in a dream, and he does what he's asked. Their obedience to God has massive consequences, for good, of course. We get to hear about that when we read the rest of the story tomorrow. But for now, let's just remember that going back to that maze and our situation now, let's remember that even when we feel we're completely lost, God wants us to call out to him and to follow him. He is indeed the one in charge. Thanks for listening and have a great bank holiday. Bye.
Bye-bye.